Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. We are so excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every week. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. We've got an action-packed episode this week. There is a lot of things happening, so let's get into it with our first call out, and that is Circle's public market debut sends shockwaves through the crypto finance markets with their IPO. I didn't invest in it. The IPO market is kind of tough right now. A lot of ups and downs. A lot of these IPOs are getting priced super high. And so I sat on the sidelines, and right now I think you should too. Wait it out a little bit, see how these IPOs go, see how the price fluctuations happen in the coming weeks, and then decide if it's a good idea to move forward. So Circle, the company that Ripple tried to buy, is the issuer of USDC, and they finally hit the public markets a couple days ago, and they made a grand entrance. The IPO was priced at 31 a share, but when they opened trading, it immediately jumped to 69 and closed the day at around $83.20. What a crazy day. Huge gain. Did I miss one? I don't know. Armando, what are your thoughts? Walk our listeners through, more importantly, the importance of the stablecoin market and as it relates to Circle. And did we miss one by not investing in the IPO, or was I correct in waiting until things calm down a little bit?
Yeah, IPOs are tricky. You have to understand how IPOs work in order to invest in them. A lot of people don't realize that, but there was some huge legislation that came through a couple of days ago that actually added a lot of regulatory clarity to stablecoins, and that helped Circle, and also helps the stablecoin market in general. So stablecoin jumped up right now. I think it's like 105. So it's starting to come down a little bit after that initial excitement. It was up 250% at its peak from the beginning of IPO until like maybe a week later or 4 or 5 days later. But you got to remember, IPOs are tricky, and it takes some understanding what IPO is. Now, IPO is the first time shares are offered to the public. Everybody knows that. But what people don't know is that every different IPO has a lockup period. Is that when early investors, a lot of the early employees, they were paid in stock. So what happens is that the first day it's available to sell on the public, they have a 90-day, maybe a 6-month, sometimes even a year lockup. So as soon as they're able to sell, let's say they have a 90-day period. So 90 days after the IPO, as soon as they're able to sell, most of the employees will, because the day that you're able to sell is when you're taxed. So yeah, you have $1 million in stock that was given to you through salary, which you got to pay regular salary income, capital gains only gains, but salary on the base of what you got. If you have $1 million, you owe $1 million on that day. Now, if you wait and you hold it and hold over a year, and then the stock goes to zero, you still owe the taxes on that million. You can't go to the government and say, well, it went down to zero. It doesn't matter, because when you were able to sell, that's when it was taxed. So in order to reduce risk, you have to sell a lot of it to be able to at least cover the taxes. So almost all the employees start selling. That usually causes a drawdown in the stock. And a lot of people are left holding the bag, not knowing what happened. Then, it takes about 6 more months for all that stock to get absorbed by the market. And then we start to see the stock come back up to where it was before. But it scares a lot of new beginners because they don't know what's happening. The company looks good. Everything looks solid, but all of a sudden, 90 days later, there's a steep drop in the stock. But that's what's happening. You have to understand that before investing in an IPO, regardless of what it is. But it's been a lot of success with this, right? They're even talking about Gemini starting to prepare for an IPO, the Winklevoss twins. So it could be a huge summer for crypto with the stable coins and also with a lot of other news that's happening.
Yeah, I want to touch on IPOs a little bit more. Years ago, I used to invest in a lot of IPOs, and now I kind of wait it out. And it really helps because I think people need to have a long-term investing thesis in all investments, especially relative to companies that are just going public, because a lot of times we see the stock price go straight up. It does a hockey stick, then it comes back down, and it finds its kind of normalcy of where it should be. And I think a lot of these, just like as of filming this episode, we have the same thing with Chime right now. They're going public as well this week, and it's priced really high relative to what the expected price was going to be. So just be careful out there. I don't think you're missing out on much when trying to get into these IPOs. And like Armando alluded to, sometimes it's better to wait it out, let things calm down, find that good price where you can make an entry point and then invest in it, because there's just so many implications. But the good thing we like about Circle and the future is the fact that with all this crypto adoption, we need more infrastructure, and that is what Circle provides, because USDC is already baked into major DeFi platforms, centralized exchange, and payment rails, and Circle is going to be a leader, already is in those categories. So that is why we want everyone to be keeping an eye on Circle, but also USDC as a whole, because it is a really, really good sector of the crypto market to be watching and figuring out how to invest in these picks and shovels we talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies now lining up for IPOs. I heard Kraken's lining up. I heard even Ledger, a hardware company, starting to think about an IPO. It reminds me of a lot of these other cycles in which there was like a big theme that was overhanging the market. Then every company that was related to that theme started to prepare IPOs. I think it was, remember WeWork? Yeah, it happened around that. That was the same thing, is that every company in WeWork was like the end of it. They were overvalued, tried to go public, and it didn't work out. There's a whole documentary about it. But I think that's what this summer is looking like. A lot of crypto. I think that every crypto company that can go public will at least tip to go public. That's going to add a lot of fire to the crypto market. It's going to add a lot of fire to even Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. I think it's going to be a big summer for crypto. I think Kraken can go public, of course, and I think one of the hardware wallets will eventually go. Probably Ledger will go public. So I can't wait to see what happens this summer.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned is Gemini, and that they built their brand on compliance. So if any of them are going to be really good, I think they would be the ones that people would really support, because regulators really actually like Gemini. They follow the rules, and they've been really strong throughout. And also they just launched that credit card, the Bitcoin credit card, which I really like as well. So if you're looking for a new credit card, they offer points, and there's a sign-up bonus. We're not sponsored by them, but there's a sign-up bonus of $200 in cryptocurrency if you spend $3,000 in the first 90 days of having the card. So that's a pretty cool feature Gemini just added. So keep an eye on Gemini as we move forward, and Kraken as well, because I think there will be some good opportunities in these IPOs. I'm just not so sure that Circle is the one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be a bigger one eventually. And like Circle, their main product is a stable coin. It can't go, you have to have dollars to back it up. So it's not a lot of upside in Circle, really. It could, if it does go up, it will be because it's related to crypto and people are trying to find a way into crypto without getting into cryptocurrency directly if there's a hot market this summer. So we may see it go up 2-3 times because of hype. It won't be because of company value, more like hype. But there's a lot of other players that can, even like Trezor can make a lot more money because they can expand their products and services. I just don't think Circle is the one long term, but I just think that a lot's going to happen this summer. So we're just looking forward to it, man. And I really hope that this is the summer that we've been waiting for.
I think it's going to be, and I'm excited about the coming months. A lot of people have been moaning and whining about cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. Why is it flat? And it just drives me nuts, because if you look back for the last 5 years, I'm a long-term investor. You're a long-term investor. If people could just really zoom out, Bitcoin is up 944% over the last 5 years. So anyone that says, why is there no bull market, isn't paying attention. And I think we're just all so conditioned that in crypto, it's supposed to just go up and to the right with these massive returns every year. So people get frustrated when they don't see the return, especially around XRP. And we'll get to that later on in the show. But it's just so important for people to be able to have a long-term investing thesis. So let's get into talking point number 2. And I think this one is a little off from what we normally talk about, but I think it is very important for people to acknowledge and understand it. And that is crypto kidnappings are pushing the industry towards this higher level of security protocol. And so I really want to dig into that a little bit, because this is kind of intense. And in the last 8 months, we've seen a big trend of crypto related kidnappings. And I think it's changing how security is handled in the industry. And a couple points before you walk our listeners through, Armando, that I think everyone should understand is they think that these kidnappings are only happening with high value